stuff from you. It sounds more planned.
It's kind of
I'm
nice.
handing these to you, so when I go over them,
We can.
go ahead and sign.
We'll run out of ink here, Stephanie.
I know, there's a lot this time.
It's, okay. All right, 7:00.
Do a public hearing first.
Yeah. Okay.
That's too much you stand up.
I've just been doing so much patriotic stuff here lately. It just seems like I have to do it 2 different times. All right, we're having a open public hearing tonight about the CBDG grant. And I'm going to let Michael take over, or you.
Yes.
Be Rosemary.
Okay.
I thought perhaps you were Rosemary.
Yeah, yes. Well, thank you, Madam Mayor. And as you stated, this public hearing is for the wastewater system improvement project. Notice was published in the local newspaper on June the 20th, and it consisted of, I'm not going to read the whole thing or else we'd be here till later tonight. But basically, it's work on the collection system where we're intending to line the majority of the existing collection system, roughly a little over 26,000 feet. There's going to be some parts of the collection system where we're actually going to have to dig down and correct the sewer line so it can be lined. That's called the point repair. Also be working on some manholes. We will also be working out at the treatment facility where we will redo some of the piping, put riprap on the lagoon walls to prevent erosion. We're also going to pump the sludge out, so we have a larger capacity for treating the inflow from the community. Work on, I believe, the lift station, and that in a nutshell is, like I said, I didn't want to sit here and read every line item in the notice, but is the application for this is due September the 27th in Topeka. It has to be postmarked, which is the last Friday in the month of September. And we already have the matching funding in place, which is the interim financing is the KDH&E loan, and permanent financing is USDA Rural Development. So we've done the environmental review on the project. We have clearance, and I don't have a whole lot more to interject unless our maintenance person does. I met with them about a month ago. We went over some additional items to infuse into the application, and he gave me copies of the bypass reports that he's had to do so far. Have you had to do any others since then?
One on the 23rd, and I'll get that
Okay.
over to you.
Okay. And what that's going to do is show additional need on the collection system because of all the additional water that's being pumped out to the lagoons. Have we had anything else from KDH&E since?
No.
Okay,
No.
Just that bypass report. Okay.
Just that bypass, yeah. And we were actually in compliance this quarter on our sampling, but we only sample once a quarter, and our sample was drawn on June 20th, and it was a decent time there.
In
We got another
between.
rating, so, yeah. The way we're going, though, we would be forced into more multiple sampling if we weren't engineering a project, so, and it would be a lot worse for us the more we sample, so, yeah.
Okay. And that, as I said, the application's due at the end of September. Announcement should be on or about the middle part of January. And like I said, I've met with Stephanie and Mike, and we've pulled together some additional information to put in. I don't know if council has any additional questions.
And what we did is we added some stuff to show the community support column, all the new stuff that we've purchased and, maintenance equipment and stuff like that, and what we're putting back into just general maintenance, not just the sewer system, but which shows that the city's
Right.
reinvesting in their infrastructure and their equipment and everything as you go, it shows a better need for.
Right, is because when they had the rating system off of the last application, that was the one area where they marked the city down. And so we wanted to bolster that information.
Nothing else has changed.
Once we go into council meeting, Madam Mayor, I've got 2 resolutions that the council will need to consider and hopefully approve, which go in conjunction with the application. I showed those to city attorney prior to the meeting, so they're pretty standard resolutions. Matter of fact, I only can fill in certain blanks. They're that standard. So it'll be for council's consideration. That's all I had. If there's nothing else.
Just open it for public comment. If there's any.
All right, we'll go do that.
Okay.
Is there any public comment on this section of our meeting? I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
So I just bring it to a close?
Yep.
At 7:07. Now we'll stand up for the pledge of allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We call to order Tim.
Here.
Brett.
Here.
And Brad.
Here.
Okay. Do we have any changes to the agenda?
You want to add those resolutions somewhere?
Yeah, I was going to do that after we got through these little formality things. I wasn't quite sure where to put them in.
You just put,
Right after public.
yeah, put it after approval of minutes probably.
Yeah, I was thinking right here.
I move to approve the minutes of the agenda with the addition mentioned.
2 resolutions.
I'll second.
All in favor? Thank you.
I move to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
All in favor of approval of minutes for 24th? Unanimous. Okay, we have 2 resolutions to approve for the CDBG. Do we need to read those in?
No, you just need to tell us the number and what they pertain to.
Okay, the first resolution is 070819, and this is what we call the governing body resolution. Basically, it states the city has the authority to be able to apply for the funding, that you authorize the mayor to sign paperwork with the application, and it also lists the matching funds of $3,547,144, which is the KDH&E loan.
I'll move to approve that resolution 070819.
I'll second.
We have a motion to approve resolution 070819. Tim? Let's see, that's just up and down, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just a resolution,
All right.
so it's just all.
Go ahead. All in favor? It's a go.
Okay.
Number 2?
Then the second resolution is 070819-1, and this is what we call the operation and maintenance resolution. And basically it is to assure the Department of Commerce that there will be funds set aside to properly operate and maintain the system once the construction is complete. There is a blank in that resolution, and the reason there is it needs to be your 2020 money set aside for operation and maintenance of the sewer system. So once I have your 2020 budget, I can fill that number in.
Does that need to be a line item on the budget?
Well, it is you have a section in the budget that talks about the wastewater system, and it'll be what is set aside for operation and maintenance, for 2020.
It's been pretty vague in the past, but
sure that's
Yeah.
correct. I move to approve that resolution -1.
I'll second it.
All in favor of passing resolution -1? That's unanimous.
Okay, Stephanie has that paperwork in front of her, and I'll just sit down. And if you have any questions on any of the paperwork, I'll answer them. Stephanie's already given me the affidavit of publication, which is required in the application. And I will have a lot of the information already after tonight to finish working on the narrative. And I will get copies for the city to look at.
Yeah, oh yeah.
On that one form, there's 2 places for you to sign, Madam Mayor.
It's kind of good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Additional form she's signing is what we call the Statement of Assurances of Certification, which states if the city is awarded the project, they will follow the rules and regulations of the program. The second on that sheet of paper is saying we will not hold any public business out at the sewer treatment plant, which I don't foresee us doing. There is a form called Anti-Displacement and Relocation Plan. What we're stating is this project will not cause the displacement or relocation of any persons out of their homes. And then there's the updated disclosure report, which you've pre-selected the engineer and the administrator. And so we're showing CDBG readiness on the project. And then the very last one is the environmental review level. And since we're doing improvements to an existing system, it's what we call categorically excluded.
To print it.
We have a typewriter at the office. I'll type your name in just so print off to the site there. It's the one page in that whole application that is not form fillable. And Stephanie, what I'll do is I'll make copies of these and scan them to you, so you have them for your minutes.
Sounds good.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm just gonna look over and make sure everything's signed before I leave.
Thank you.
Okay, for a look at the appropriation ordinance 1464.
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
Okay, Tim,
Yes.
Brett,
Yes.
and Brad.
Yes.
Do we have any public concerns or comments this evening? And he is not here. Mr. Bone.
Start with gas. I attended a meeting June something 20, maybe. On our final OQ plan for the gas system, I talked just a little bit about that at the last meeting. That adoption is actually just done basically by me saying the city will adopt this plan. It's the technicalities. It's not our training material, but the technicalities that conform to everything that the KCC and the state requires for our OQ plan. A lot of people worked really hard on that. KMU, Kansas Municipal Utilities, they were involved in that as well, and are kind of helping roll that out to the entire state that any municipality can adopt and then go forward with the training and stuff. Worked out really well. We've got the covered task list that's more updated, and we're going to do that for each employee on what we're actually going to be qualified to do on our system. There's a lot of stuff in there that's antiquated that we don't do or we don't need to do. that won't apply to us, and we're just going to get rid of all that so we don't have to be qualified on something we're never going to do, which was kind of a problem with the older plan. I believe this summer, cast iron is one thing. There's a little bit left in Topeka, and there's one municipality that's got a little bit of cast iron left, which going to Topeka's Kansas Gas, but there will be no more cast iron gas piping in the state of Kansas probably after, which will be absolutely amazing because it leaks a lot and that's very brittle and stuff, which is great for the state, and it's kind of great as a leader to the community. We're not quite as old as the East Coast and stuff. They've got a lot out there, but shows a lot of infrastructure. A lot of things are being done throughout the country to maintain that, and hopefully the federal government will continue to kind of push that and help fund some of that stuff for. That I touched on was an online option with KMU for some training and the actual paper testing. We'll still meet as groups in our Flint Hills group to do our hands-on testing and our qualifications and our sign-offs on that. I think the city of Alma is going to do it. I'm going to check that out once Michael gets it. What they'll do is they have the option, we can go in and we can take tests. Some sections have prerequisites before you can take another section. So it's really great for new operators. They have to pass certain areas before they can go into the more in-depth things and do that, which won't be a big deal for our guys because we are qualified now. But the main thing is the records retention. KMU is going to retain that. You only pay yearly for your active employees. If an employee leaves, you have to maintain those records that they were qualified to do any work for a minimum of 5 years. KMU will retain those records for 5 years as required. If anything were to happen or an incident were to happen in a certain area, who did it? It's going to be on the paperwork, who was qualified, where are their records, that type of thing is what. I'm very interested in that. Their base price right now is $250 a year per qualified employee. If they can get 50 people signed up, it'll go to 200. They're going to prorate it for 19, where we're already halfway through the year. They're at 30 some to 40 almost users, so I see that going a lot cheaper. I mean, people in the state are jumping on that. I'm seriously considering that, but I just kind of want to see the layout once Michael gets that done in Alma, and he's got a lot more guys and a lot more records too. So see how it looks and how it'll work for us. But I think that'll be a really good thing to take care of some of that paperwork. Go to water. We've been adjusting the plant quite a bit. Our adjustments have been working for now, in my opinion. Still been some hiccups on the filter head, and the quality of water coming in has been very sporadic. I don't know if some traffic has increased that, boat traffic, things like that. This weekend wasn't bad as far as what came in the plant. There were a couple of busy weekends in June that we really noticed that the water changed coming into the plant and the turbidity changed coming in. It seems to be working right now. I don't know. I think this has turned around quite a bit as far as the water quality and stuff like that. I stuck a thing in your box too that came out in the KMU headlines that Lawrence is dealing with that as well out of there. I believe it's the Clinton Lake treatment plant at very high geosmin levels, and it's kind of all over the board. Some people can detect it at low level, some people can't, and that's you get complaints and you don't get complaints. But it's like Lonnie said with KRWA, it's a statewide problem, and we're gonna continue to work on that. As far as our chemical dealer Brentag, I am not happy with them at all right now. Tracking down a representative. As far as when we order chemical and stuff, they've done great. We get what we need when we need it. We agree on delivery times and stuff, but talking about some of the new treatment options or adjusting to different polymers or different treatment options, I've had a lot of trouble getting an actual representative to call me. I called my rep's cell number that was on my phone, and I got some other guy that was in Kentucky. He's not out of the Kansas City office, and wasn't real happy about that. And he was going to try to get me in touch with our rep, but Hawkin is another big chemical dealer around. They do a really good job. I know several people that are using them. That's an option. I have put a feeler out to them to see about maybe getting one of their scientists out to take some of our raw water and kind of look at what polymers would work good for us. They have a mini bulk system. If we could house it, basically it's kind of on a 2-week routine things. They just keep topping it off and set you up We're going to see how that works, but I'll keep you updated on that. And of course, when you're shopping, you're going to make the new guy competitive for sure. And if Brentag does want to come back to the table, they're going to have to get real competitive if they want our business, as far as my opinion goes. But street and alley, now Drew's been getting started on some of the patching. We've encountered a lot of really, really wet dirt and wet base under what he's dug up. We did a little bit of patch in front of the park today. And in doing that, it was kind of in a couple of the concrete joints on the sides where the asphalt's on the sides, just us packing in, or Drew mainly, the new patch. It kind of buckled some of the asphalt on the sides. We pulled a little bit of that out, and it is absolutely, I mean, it's wet, wet, wet. It's not coming up anywhere. There's nothing coming out down to the creek. We don't think it's an infrastructure like a water leak or anything, but I don't know what's going to happen there. We might the calm before the storm as far as how our streets hold up, but get some dry base in there and we'll see what we have to do with that and kind of how that degrades down there. The cold mix we got from APAC is a really, really good batch. Lots of oil. The aggregate's good size. It's packing in really hard, really solid. Very happy with it. It's not super clumpy or anything. Touched on that earlier. Wastewater was in compliance this quarter. Like I said, June 20th is when our sample was taken. And on the 23rd, we did have another lift station bypass. It was pretty short lived. I don't remember. It was a Sunday morning, Saturday. I think we had a big rain. Other than that, that's all I got on that stuff. Has it got anything?
When you guys are out there hitting them holes with the cold patch, I guess the first question is, I don't know if we are allowed to, but should we try to do something with that gutter or the drain that's down there by Paydays? I don't even know if we can, since that's a highway.
Yeah, I'm sure we probably could. As far as patch, I don't know. I'd have to look at that again, Tim, as far as if patch would work or if that would actually have to be a folded up cement deal there. As far as that entrance and that actual gutter, I mean, going down to the drain, we have out towards the street edge patched that, and we'll probably, it's kind of on the once we get some potholes done.
A burner, that's for sure.
Right. No, and we have, that is a lot of traffic through there. And it's,
Well, if people would drive where they're supposed to drive,
no, I hear you.
that never would have been brought up. But
Yeah.
anyway, I thought it'd be a good gesture if we're allowed to, whatever.
Right. I don't think that's an issue, but yeah. As far as material goes, we'll see. We haven't got to any of the larger areas, which what we did with this type of mix last time, once we got holes filled, we kind of went on, cancer spots that had a lot of cracking and, looked like cobblestone, and we laid it out fairly thin and smoothed it and then packed it, and knock on wood, it actually stuck. We got it as clean as we could, and it got hard and it stuck. It didn't just pop up, like when you're plowing snow and stuff like that. I really like this mix. So we plan on doing that some more, just trying to, in the end, it's a Band-Aid on a bullet wound as far as when you're talking asphalt, but it's so expensive. But this stuff seems to work, and if we can get 2-3 years out of even some larger skim patches, I think we're doing really good on that. So
the barracks, do you have a time frame of when some gravel will be there, especially like where the entrance is between the lodge and the barracks, where it's really washed out? And like,
I'd have to go look at it again. No, the quarry is crushing some clean rock again, rather than just, roadstone.
I think the last time that it was put in was like late in the fall. And then I'm assuming that the graders that push the snow or whatever, graded a lot of that rock off into the grass. Is any of that able to be pulled back?
Drew already did that. He did that a month and a half, 2 months ago, probably, as far as going around and pulling what he could back out of the grass. And he hauled some out there, some roadstone out there that we had stockpiled at the shop before they ran out.
There was just a
And
couple.
put it on the east side, because that's where it was requested this time, because the east side hadn't got any for a long time.
Will you have them look like in front of Tammy Merritt's cabin if some of that more can be pulled out, and then as you enter into the barracks from like the pavement, there's like some more in the ditch there. I didn't know if that could be pulled out as well.
Right, yeah, okay, I know what you're talking about there. Yeah, we are planning on taking the backhoe out and trying to dig that tube out and see if we can clean that, which Drew said that him and Joe actually years ago got the little tube jetter thing that we've got through that and got that clean again. Yes, no, I see what you're saying. Yeah, we have talked about that, to get that to run and go down the ditch again rather than go down. As far as going down to the barracks, the west side is really bad. I mean, there's no ditch there. Everybody parks along the side. So, I mean, when the road becomes a low spot, that's where the water runs. And this, aside of building that up and actually cutting a ditch and trying to push it, say on the west side to the west so it goes away from the buildings and make a path for it, I don't know. It's worse in years like this. It really is, yeah. But if we can get some clean rock out there, some inch and a half clean or something, that's what they need, is just to get that pushed back down into the base. But
While we're talking about gravel out there at the lake, I've had somebody asking me for quite some time now, and I just now thought about bringing it up. Over where where you dump your camper, is there rock down there that the grass has grown up through, or can you look at that and see? It looks kind of shady over
yeah,
there. Can we dress that up somehow?
I think so. We
Maybe a
talked about
sign
this. I don't remember
also.
if we talked here, if me and the guys just talked about possibly making a pull off there and building that up some, and kind of building a road there.
That's what I would
I don't
like.
think there was. I mean, there might have been some gravel there that predated me, but actually making more of a road there. And then,
Can you look
Yeah,
into
come
that,
in
come
that
up with a game
direction.
plan for me, please?
We're gonna talk about the meadow for hand.
it's on the agenda.
Is it? Huh? Right down there. See, I pay attention. Okay, anything else?
Yeah, I'm good.
Any other discussion? Okay, Stephanie?
You guys have a financial report, and then I did actually receive an email from April. I think it was Friday, and she employee budget. So, what Rosemary talked about for the sewer, that's definitely something I'll send April. And then if you guys have any other things to think about, that's something that we definitely need to start talking about. So, just FYI, she'll probably come to, I would assume, the first meeting in August for sure, to get that hashed out. So that's all I have.
While we're talking about the 2020 budget, I'd like to look into building a building down there by the flats for the restrooms and possibly a shower house, something like that. I want to look into seeing what that might cost. Or
Yeah, Dave,
I was actually,
you look excited there.
this is an appropriate time for me to
take the floor, Dave.
get my part. So I was actually gonna come up and talk to you guys about an option on something like that. I've been looking into some different things. And if you were to get a 10 by 20 Conex shipping container, divide it by 2, and you have a shower and a toilet on each side. Plus, if you were to take a little bit of extra time to anchor it in the ground a little bit, and make a perfect storm shelter for down in that area as well. I don't really think it would take too much to build something like that, other than the piping the water, the sewage, and the electricity. But I think it'd be a very cost-effective way to go on something like that. I'm pretty sure you can get a 10 by 20 for somewhere in the ballpark of about $1,500.
Then do something to the facade to make it look appropriate. Cut some holes in it, maybe some air window unit or something, or not.
I think on something like that, if you were just to put a ventilation system in, it should suck out enough.
It's temperature controlled fans. Something like that.
Yeah, because like the showers that we have currently over on the bait shop side, there's no exhaust in there. It gets pretty stagnant in there, but there's no exhaust in that. It's not unbearable by any means. But I was thinking a 10 by 20, you get it in for $1,500. I don't know what the pipes and the electric would cost and all that stuff to run it out to it, but
You have to do it either way.
it's already built, and then of course dress it up a little bit.
The ability to winterize it and stuff like that too, where you can shut things off, drain it back, but you got to do that with anything, unless you're gonna heat it. in the winter.
And it just so happens that there's already another hot water heater sitting around. That just needs a couple new coils. Throw right in it. So, I mean,
Yeah, the
he's already-
funds usually budgeted 100%, but we can definitely make sure and kind of see where we're gonna end up, and, you know, especially in August or whenever that's gonna be done, where we are projected to end up with our remaining funds. And if there's a disagreement between our accountant and us, we can make sure that, you know, it has to be basically good faith on, you know, what you really think you're gonna end up with. You can't just come up with this huge number and have the authority to spend it. But the issue we had at the lake on Curtis's last year was he didn't think we were gonna end up with what we did, and then we got knocked the next year. We had cash, we just didn't have the authority to spend it. So there's always the option of amendment, but no, we definitely mentioned that to her, that that'd be another decent project. We want to make sure we have 100% authority to spend anything that we may generate. So I'm with you on that.
That would be a nice upgrade to the park. And I know years and years ago, they put some things down there to accommodate that when they put in water and sewer.
Something as skinny as a shipping container also. Might be able to put it on the other side of the road. So you wouldn't be taking up any of the flat primitive camping area.
On the north side,
Gosh.
pretty well.
On
Where the pines
on
are.
the side where the fence is, not
Yeah.
where the water is. But yeah, that's not down there where that old Boy Scout campground was.
Right.
You know, closer to the bait house than that. Just kicking around an idea anyway. But I don't know, if we go with that container idea, I do like the idea of putting some sort of facade on it to make it look appropriate. You know,
Good. Been hitting about that for years. I think that's a good upgrade. It definitely means a lot for people when they're camping, to be able to clean up. That pit's been down there for a long time, about 15, 20 years. Okay. Anything else?
Any questions about permit office leak anything? Okay. Well, based on that, I've got a question. I'd like permission to do something. Kind of segue into how I came up with the shipping container shower idea. But I would like to put on that cement slab where, like, basically where I have my fireworks this year. I'd like permission to come up with some sort of cabin to sit out there and rent out. The idea that I kind of have in my head, once again, something rented out to somebody for the weekend, the scenario where the city would give their electric. So basically the city would treat it as in, you know, renting out an electric spot for a camper. So every time it's rented out, the city would get their $15 on that. And then, you know, upkeep and all that stuff would be done by me. In the case that I don't renew my contract with the city, then, you know, of course it would be completely movable out of there. No running water or anything like that. No sewage to it, of course.
So what you're talking about a cabin,
Yes, ma'am.
which is the solid structure for someone to camp in.
Yes, ma'am.
I had a different picture in my when you said that, fancier, but of course I would. It was just-
It'll be presentable by the time
Of
I'm done
course.
with it.
Well, that's a plan that, why don't you think about that, put some numbers to it, and then maybe present it back to the council.
Numbers towards
How much it's gonna cost and
cost me or cost the city?
city,
Nothing.
what's he talking about then? You're talking about you
He
getting
wants to
it and then,
use some
oh,
extra
okay.
ground to put this thing on. He's
Yeah.
asking us if we'll give him some ground.
And then basically, when it's
When it's
rented.
rented and stuff.
the city will
It would basically just be
we would
considered
get
a
electricity to it.
camping.
Would be
camping spot.
that would probably be there would be electricity. That's could be the cost.
Your idea is we're not giving any rights to the real estate necessarily,
No, sir.
renting, leasing it to you or anything like that. We're just you're placing a building on it, renting. And then the city gets a portion of it.
Yes, sir.
While it's occupied.
Would be a little bit nicer to stay in than a tent, although tents have their charm.
In your 20s.
Yeah,
Or younger.
Yeah.
That's not a tent area anyway.
But the bait shop isn't.
That area is on campus.
Think entertain the idea, design.
Think things through, but I'll definitely consider it. One person's opinion.
Cabin at the lake.
Is this for you to make a profit and us to get $15, or what is this? I mean, that's a big question.
Partly, yeah.
Why do you sell Snickers?
Exactly. That, and yeah, it adds a little bit extra to it. So like, it really started across my mind. There was a couple that came out there. Oh, they checked in. I don't remember. It was after 9. I just happened to still be there, and it was going to rain that night. They wanted to come in. They were seeing family and wanted to throw up a tent. I've had a lot of people ask if we had cabins to rent out there. Just the same as I've had as many people come in and ask if we had jet skis to rent. It just brings a little bit something extra to the lake too.
You might have to get a conditional use permit from the county.
Yeah, that could be done.
Yeah, I mean, KDHE has certain regulations on lodging and stuff like that too, but depending on the primitiveness of it and what amenities you're offering, I mean, something you'd have to look into. True state of Kansas fashion, they have all sorts of rules and not enough people to enforce it and nobody to help you. So, it's just how they roll. So.
Okay. Then we're mulling it over.
Okay.
Anything else, Dave?
Nope. So just come up with all the particulars on it and represent it.
Then maybe talk to Tim.
Okay.
Okay,
Sounds good. Thank you.
you betcha. Okay. Stephanie,
Very well.
you already done? No done?
Since this was in our box, should we address this when he's here or not?
I think I should have talked to our lawyer about it, because I think that's a false report. Complaint. Heck, as I know it is. I was there.
I was there minutes after you left.
And that's not accurate.
No.
I have heard only one side,
Okay.
but I believe it to not be very accurate. I'd like to hear the other side in person, not just a couple words written down here. But I do know for one thing, one of the complaints on here, the last 2 words on there, I saw none of. I went over and looked, I didn't see any.
Well, I was gonna ask if it was appropriate for me to talk to the individual and see if they wanna go ahead with that complaint. I was gonna do that anyway, and I
think you
thought that
just
I
did.
should ask.
When you told him that
No.
it's a lie.
Oh, well, yeah, you're right.
Well, I mean, what do we know about the truth or falsity of this claim? I mean, it's just stated by this person like,
Well, part of it's already a lie. The goose poop, that's what you said.
I didn't see goose poop all over the beach. I saw
This one?
And I know that there was a problem with the toilet, but he was actually working on it and ended up getting it fixed. I mean, how can somebody expect that is going to come? What the heck did I do with it? But anyway, as far as the toilet being plugged up, he took care of that. I believe he did, or did you, Mike?
What's that?
Sorry, plugged up toilet out there.
We didn't do anything
I
about
know
it.
I sent Dolly a message asking about whoever was running the water to go look into it, because I wanted to make sure it got cleared out, but apparently Dave
No,
took care
Yeah,
of that.
he got it cleared out, plus also he, sprayed it, pressure sprayed it to clean it, that's what he does.
Well, I mean, it is
And,
what it is, so, I mean, it's a complaint, it's, you can act on it or not act on it, as you choose, so, sounds like you're not acting on it, so.
okay,
I think during the busiest weekend of the year, it's gonna be a little dirty anyway. It appeared to me that he did a good job trying to clean up. In fact, I made a point of, for Saturday, after the firemen did their awesome show, I drove over that way to see if there were spent fireworks laying everywhere. I didn't see any. I looked all
people were
over.
real good about picking it up
The
too.
trash dumpsters were definitely over full.
But they had them all by the
There
trash
was
dumpster.
one
All up.
pile that I saw that was, I guess as neat as you could make a pile of trash, that was over by a campsite, that was all in one spot and easy to clean up. But I did not see stuff laying all over the place like we had seen last year and the year before. Over by the rope swing, there was a mess last year. Didn't see that this year. I think Dave did a very good job of making sure it was cleaned up this year. I should have said that while he's still here.
He'll hear you.
165 Cedar Circle.
Yes, I would like to get the ball started on tearing down a dock that is located pretty much across the lake from where my property is. And I don't know what the council requirements are, or the code enforcement officer needs to meet with me, but the dock in question I'm gonna tear down is over in this area, and the property is located over in this area. And there is a location right here that's approximately 50 foot from the two docks separated. I'd like to put a dock in there, but I need to find out what we need to start with. And do we have to tear one down completely before we start a new one?
And so you're gonna tear the one down.
Yes, for 165 Cedar Circle, which is located over in this area. Actually, it's below Turnbull's over there. What's the numbers? Yeah. So we're, Mike Turnbull's right down below the house down there. That's where the dock's located for 165 Cedar Circle. I don't know how the hell it got clear over there, but it did. But anyway, there is a 50-foot opening space right down below us down there. I don't know who is a code enforcement officer or compliance officer. Mike, is that you?
I play one on TV if I have to.
Okay.
They don't have a.
You can play one on real, you can just come down and tape it off.
Right.
But I think the city needs to approve that space or something as far as the offsets for dock requirements, what's 10 foot in between docks or whatever.
Yes.
There's plenty of space there. But I'd like to get the ball rolling on it. I don't know if you guys need anything written down in writing.
You don't have a permit for the new one.
I need a permit for the new one.
Well, I don't think there's anything that requires a permit to remove a dock.
Well, I think in order to build a new one, you have to remove the old one. Is that correct?
Well, yeah, I mean, just as far as in advance.
I think what he wants to know is that his new spot will be approved before he removes the old
Well,
Yeah.
then you would need to have permit approved for the new location, and then the council can, approve or
Okay.
disapprove it. That means instead of get it approved, you tell
Right.
somebody in the city that you remove the other dock, and when it's removed, they come out there, confirm it, then you get the thumbs up, and you put the new dock. in,
Okay.
Assuming it's,
I need to get an okay for the spot I'm looking at prior to it.
yes.
You need to put in an application then.
Yeah, we can come out and get pictures of
Okay.
exactly where 100-foot tape and take some measurements, because that's the thing. I mean, we'll see how much space is there. Are you wanting to build a 20 by 24?
No, I'm not. I'm only gonna do a 4 by 20. 4 foot wide.
Well, in that case, be about 10 feet off of one dock, which would probably leave possibly enough space for one other dock to go in.
Right.
People did in the past, they try to split the difference and take up as much
Well,
room
yeah,
as they
do
could,
that
but
center,
yeah.
and then you're
Yeah.
gonna screw everybody
Yeah.
concerned.
But no,
Yeah, that's what we're doing. But,
measurements, and then you can put it on your application and represent it to
all
them
right,
if you want.
do I just
That
come to
works.
Stephanie and get it? I will do. Okay, I think we're done. All right, thanks,
Can you
Mike.
give them one right now?
Yeah. Do you want one right
Yeah,
now?
man, that'd be fun. Might as well get her going.
Get that ball rolling faster.
Mike, just give me a holler.
Yeah, we'll do, or same to you, Richard.
Okay,
if you're
cause it's
out
just
and
right
about
down
or
below me. I
whatever.
can walk you over to it, so,
Yeah,
and it's easy to find, so. All right,
perfect.
sounds good. Thank you.
193 Cedar Circle. Just have to get back. She'll present that.
Transfer?
Property sold.
We're on Cedar Circle with the transfer.
Okay.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
All in favor of the transfer? Unanimous. $100 Prairie View and 98 Lakeview.
So this one. Just getting a letter.
What he's wanting to do.
Got confused.
Okay, I see what he's doing. His nice dock is down basically right in front of
Correct.
Randy's dock. Which
That's
that
the one
dock,
that just got tore out, right?
it's next. Okay. That dock goes with 100 Prairie View, which would have been his garage, I believe. Yes, where he lived until he put in the module. The dock that went with, Jesus, number 98, where he put in the house living now, he's basically wanting to swap the docks with the properties and transfer the one dock
So he's selling the garage.
to, first I know, but that's 100 Prairie View, because that's up on Prairie View. And the 98's on Lakeview Circle where he put in the new modular house. Yeah. So he's selling the garage and he basically wants to flip flop the docks with the properties. He wants to keep the dock by grant, transfer the other dock to, which is mainly paperwork for Stephanie to get the names and the dock numbers switched. But yeah, basically switch the docks with the house
And is that
numbers.
something that we do?
Yeah,
I think
been
we've
done
done it
before.
before.
Yeah.
I mean, that garage is livable structure.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a habitable structure. Yeah, we just call it the garage. It's a little house, but it
Yeah,
has a
okay.
garage door as well as a walk-through door. No,
That's
it
fine,
is-
that should
yeah,
be.
it's one dock to that structure. God, we just did that. Actually, I think it was Langworthy's. They
Yeah,
did that with his mom's house
yeah, because
Yeah.
it's when I was here. So.
because they swapped that with his, and then the one's way off, and now he just wants to get it moved closer. Yeah, that was one that was just done maybe a year ago after.
All right, I'll
She
move
passed
to
away.
approve.
I'll second.
All in favor? Unanimous.
That was really confusing there for a second.
Yeah, did a good job, Rob. 444 East Flint Hills Drive, structure permit.
I have one question on this.
Mhm.
On the very left-hand side of the drawing, it says 20 feet. At the very bottom, it says add 2-foot walkway. Is that making it 26 feet or is that within the 24 feet?
That will make that portion 24 feet. The actual dock right now is only 22 feet.
It says 10 by 22.
Yeah.
Okay, there, I guess I
And
looked over
she
there.
did have to explain it to us once they came back too, so, yep.
Then I move to approve. Assuming that, no, wait a minute, they don't have another dock to that.
What's their walkway gonna be made of? Not concrete?
It's whatever's already there, I don't know.
Yeah.
They're not changing that. I honestly don't know.
Existing wall.
I'd like to know if it's concrete, if they're paying a structure fee for the concrete.
Okay, so does it, isn't it?
No.
Well, I guess
It's over
it's
4
always,
feet wide.
I thought anything that went across our land would be,
no, it's a wooden walk if it's, but we don't,
and stuff out there. And like sidewalks, but if it's when they're over 4 feet.
well, yeah, the walkways, you have to be less.
Or, yeah, or a patio over a certain, it's not a walkway, then it becomes a patio, then yes, that's something they pay for.
How long has
They're
it
not
been?
changing anything with that. I mean, we can research that. I don't know.
I think that'll take a research because it's been there.
I have no idea.
We can research it. We don't have the information. We can get it. Okay. Well, we-
so just answer me this question. We allow people to put concrete steps on the shoreline?
Haven't asked.
Yeah, I was thinking of our incident, but as along the shoreline is different. I mean, you're just talking about,
Well, yeah, I mean, we're just talking a path straight to a dock.
I didn't think there was.
I didn't think that we allowed concrete
yeah,
for a gamut of reasons.
I don't
I think
think
there
there's
was
anything that says that in the rules, other than over a certain size.
I think there's some old stuff that was left. Well, I mean, just like talking about 50.
How can we get that to where from maybe this point on, there's no concrete steps allowed?
Why?
Let me take a, you guys are you gonna need more information on this in any case? Cause
Yes.
I'll look at the,
I mean, are you looking at having people remove that if they want a new permit approved? Or,
He just doesn't like
Are you-
concrete. Is
you know,
that it?
are you looking at
I
like,
mean, if they have it, I mean, they should be paying a structure fee, in my
Moving
opinion,
forward.
but that's me.
right,
I'm just gonna look at the dock ordinance to see if it specifies how you build that.
that memorized by
No. No, I never heard that. The only time that I've ever heard anything about concrete is when they make a great big retaining wall and it's ugly.
I don't
And we
believe so,
stopped
Brett.
doing that.
Well, the walkway,
And
actually,
he
it's going out
overbuilt,
for
he
dock.
overbuilt that. If you're talking about the gentleman wearing the lots of.
Well, structure is,
It's
is
not.
part of the definition of structure
That's what they
is
have there now.
pump
Obviously, the
house,
walkway
retaining wall,
would go down,
walkway,
but as far as what's going down there, I don't know.
water line extending,
That's
length of
actually
a man-made
not
structure.
It's access.
Again, I'm gonna reiterate, this is why I think we need a public officer out there desperately.
Well, someone I actually talked to is interested, FYI, if you guys still want that position.
I
She
wonder if it's
just
the
told
same
me
person.
no.
Oh, no. It's female.
It's female. But she
I
is
spoke with a
interested.
guy today that said he might be interested.
Okay.
I would,
So,
not to assume
Did
that
she
We
put an
haven't-
advertisement?
She did not. I said I would ask and see if
Good
it's something
point,
that
Todd.
they were still interested in. I just talked to her last week.
I
So
think that
I will-
absolutely is something we're still interested in, and
Okay.
I'm
Absolutely.
never disinterested in it.
I spent the weekend staring at a dock that I think is about 20 feet tall that's being built right now. Right across the
That's
cove
one.
from Ralph.
the permit.
I don't know who.
See, that's another thing too,
I don't know
is
whose
like,
property.
we only get black and white and pictured, well, this one obviously is color, but that's a rarity for us, cause we can, most of the time don't. I try to make it out to the properties before I vote on them, now I don't get that done every single time, however, I do make it a point to go out there quite a bit.
Well, then is this, in question then, whether you're going to, move to approve this for what
You have a motion
did we have a
on
second?
the table. No, I'm just saying, Tim's
Yeah.
motion is still hanging out
So
there.
Tim has a motion to approve that, but you guys were just talking about something that we're gonna research and look at and see if that doesn't have anything to do with this structure here.
Did this say the height of the carport that goes over?
It will be less than 12 feet. She was informed of the 12-foot requirement.
So what they're asking for is within our well, what was the word I'm looking for?
Regulation.
Yeah, regulations,
Yep.
yeah. And so you guys are. So we have a motion. Is there a second?
Still standing.
Are you still standing by your motion?
I am.
You're rolling if there's no second.
And there's no rules on the concrete on the 2-foot
I'm
walkway.
looking.
That's fine, I guess that
Well,
would be.
that's just it though. It's already there. It's been something that's there
Right,
and
it's not there, it says add,
Correct.
it says add.
Oh, no, that walkway, that's wood, the adding part.
What?
He's talking about the
The
existing.
existing.
Oh, okay, okay.
Oh, they're adding wood?
yeah.
Okay.
That's actually like on the back of the dock. That will make half of the dock 24 feet and the other half
So the question he has is basically irrelevant on this
on
particular
the
issue.
application.
Yeah.
Because it is a walkway, unless you were gonna deny a permit for.
Well, I mean, if that's the case, I'll second it, provided that that is the wood structure that.
Yeah, I don't think that, I didn't see anything in the design criteria that would
This is,
state
yeah,
that it has to be.
this is
certain
basically
material.
like a boat
Yeah.
slip. That's just gonna be a 2-foot walkway at the front of where the boat slip is.
And the concrete is a separate issue other than what he's trying to.
Yeah,
I don't know.
right. We're gonna look into it. Cause do we have a second then?
Yeah.
All right, all in favor? Nay? Or abstain?
I'm gonna abstain just because I
That's
don't think we
okay.
have appropriate information. Or I'm not
I'm interested in checking
And
into
it
the
doesn't-
concrete law though.
Yeah.
affect the outcome of it with the two of them, so
Yeah, cause that sounds like,
I'll put
that
it on
sounds
there.
like something that we have to.
Well, I think probably what I would say, if you're gonna revisit it, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to not maybe go over the whole thing, which
Well, you're,
council member,
well,
and try to,
well, yeah, because it sounds like if that's something we're gonna deal with, then we're gonna have to deal with the whole lake, because there's a lot of cement,
well,
going on.
and I guess that's the point, it's not just that, but is there something talking about maybe making some clarity in there about your numbering and all that kind of stuff, and trying to kind of, it has to be at least 8 to 10 years since we did or looked at that whole setup. The only thing we did was we incorporated into the codification came around. There really wasn't much change to it. So you guys are operating in the same thing you've done for about 10 years. It would be a bad idea to take a cold eye look at it, so we're not changing this and then a year later,
In my opinion, a lot of that would have to be moving forward too. I mean, right now, if you went around the lake and looked at 300 properties and said, all right, these 175 have stuff I don't like, take it out, you can't afford it. You can't
Which-
afford to bring a suit against all these people.
Which is
Forcing
why
to do that.
it would be handy to have a,
But why couldn't we if they're
Yeah,
wrong?
well, yeah, and I just,
How you gonna pay
there's
for it?
there's a different, well, no, let's make sure we understand the legal ramifications of what is going on here, because pre-existing uses are things that are recognized as zoning law. So if you build a building that's perfectly legal, when you build it and they change the zoning on you and suddenly it's not in compliance anymore, it's deemed a violation. You can't make them change it to the current code. The only way that they can be forced to change it is if they tear it down or rebuild or something happens that's tearing
Which
down the
is
structure. which
Where
is-
the 1-to-1 and the oversized structures, that's where all that came into effect. That's why those are still allowed.
Meaning like.
Well, but the
women
compare,
Can't put the concrete back, correct?
no, you're missing the point. The point is that's zoning. That's not, there's nothing inherently wrong with who's has a license to use your property or renting. Suddenly for you to come in and say, okay, well, I don't like this anymore. You got, the thing that you built is not good anymore. We're gonna tear it out. Or you need to tear it out.
Right.
And that's, there's no pre-existing use exception for property that you don't own as the landowner, or as the cabin owner to the lake. I'm using city property. I don't have a right to say to the city, I can control how you allow me to use it. That's not part of the deal. Because if it was their land and it was zoning, that would be different. It's your land, it's the city's land, and it's not zoning, it's controlling how you use it. So
But
I mean-
there's no the way I'm seeing this, and just clarify this for me too. So moving forward, there's no expiration on any of these leases or rental agreements or whatever you want to call it for these permits. If they're paid, they're legit.
Well, I mean,
so you
I-
can't just change the rules in the middle of the game
Yeah.
and then say, okay, we don't like this, tear it out.
Sure you can.
And how are we going to afford to do that and pay you to do that?
Well, no, you don't have to pay me to do anything. But I'm saying it's perfectly legal. I didn't say it was wise. I didn't.
I
say
would
it
say
was,
you start with the 50-year plan.
yeah, I didn't say it was
Tax-free
politically. It's
I
politically
think
good.
you're
I
fighting
didn't-
a battle that's
Yeah.
pointless.
Yeah, well,
personally.
but I'm saying that there's no to your point about what do you do. Let's just give an example. You say, okay, we don't want any more cement walkways going from houses to docks or cement structures of any kind.
I thought we already said that.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're gonna finally put in the rules so everybody can see it and say, that's it. And you can do whatever you want. You can say, just from this point going forward, nothing new, so that the stuff that was put on there in 1955 doesn't have to get torn out. You know, that's just your discretion. You can sit there and do anything like that. Or you specifically could say, if you have a cement structure on our property that was there by your leave, you have to tear that out. The same thing that the city could say, and just give an extreme example, they could say, every dock's gone, tear out every structure. That now is pristine shoreline by order of the city. If you own the property, you can do that. Again, I'm not expecting you to, I'm not saying it's popular to do that, but that's what is the difference.
I don't know, then you have absolutely no money.
Yeah, but I'm just trying to get across the point that don't imagine restrictions that don't exist on what you're doing here. Because if you want, because you think you don't have the authority to do it, it's the city's property. It does have the right to enforce it out.
Just because you can do it doesn't mean you should do it.
Absolutely.
Thank you. All right. Moving on. 111 Lakeview Dock. Relocation. No,
That's a
not
damn
gonna.
constitution tip.
Don't even go to the second one.
I was just gonna say, whose gun? Your gun, do what you want. City's gun, it's in that safe.
This is the same thing?
No.
This is, well, no, this should be on continued business. I apologize. But Shane tore out the dock in question that was dilapidated.
And a chair.
And a chair, yeah. And he sent you great pictures of before and after.
Yes, he did.
And now he is requesting, let me read this again. He basically wants to move the dock since he removed it.
As long as there's not a dude in it, it's fine.
He wants to move it closer to his other
Skeleton.
property and his other dock.
You want this dock?
The
Or
one that he
put a-
removed. Put a new
That
one.
one
This
that
one's
That's
sitting
gone.
there,
That
that's
one's
been
gone.
for years.
Okay,
that
he
you
didn't wanna
and
haul
that
that
one's
somewhere
to put
else,
it
okay.
And he doesn't have another dock anywhere.
I don't think he wants to put that exact docs.
I that's what I'm saying, Alice.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
He
So in
does.
other words, he's just
No,
making an
no, he
application.
Oh, and he removed it.
We're going to get done with this meeting tonight.
What he
So-
wants to do is he wants to build a new
Another
dock in
So-
another location to replace this dock.
Right.
Yes.
He just doesn't want to build it in the exact same spot. He
Right.
wants to build it closer to his property where there is an opening to put a dock.
Which is
Where
very
there's
close
public
to
access.
question.
Is that what
Well,
he said
and
in here?
he
Where
needs
there's
to put in
public
a
access? So would that put it by you? Would that put that by you?
No.
No?
No, there's no space.
Okay. So he needs to put in an application, put in a dock in a new space.
We're
In front
back,
of his other property.
we're back with the
So,
question thing with it. He needs to get a permit.
that's what he
Yeah,
wants
I
to
need
do.
Yeah.
Is
It's his other
put
property.
it in front of his other
Yeah,
property.
yeah.
But he's already torn down a dock. He's just
Right.
he's basically making a new.
He's just
dock.
saying,
Right.
right, needs to put in the permit, get measurements,
There you go.
verify the measurements.
Telling me
everything,
great
and then
picture.
apply.
But he built there yet. He doesn't have his idea. He just wants to know, I'm going to build a dock in the future and I want it right here, not right here.
He kind
Can
of
I
wants
reserve
to
this spot?
reserve it. And
just
there
wants to make sure he
is
still has that.
something,
Oh, yeah, that's right.
this is what I sent you, so there
Yeah.
is something that says, cause he has read our code and
Yeah,
he's
there
like,
is something that says.
it says
basically, pay reserve
$75
dock fee.
you can reserve a dock.
Or even out there unless you want to plant a flag and pay full price for your flag.
Well, I think you
I
got to
don't
pay
think you
every
should
year.
reserve spaces
Yeah.
that don't have something there.
So, well,
'Cause
basically,
that's gonna get lost.
I
You
agree
rent
with
that
you.
space
I mean,
each
that's just
time.
a friggin',
well, basically, but the code says you can't.
well, they don't have to honor it though. They can deny it, the application.
The application for reserve.
That's
Okay.
something that needs to be changed in that code.
Yeah,
agree with
and
that
I
too.
agree,
Yeah.
but the fact of the matter is,
It's there.
you're gonna ask for.
And I'm just saying
reserve
that because
dock
that's gonna
fee.
bite the
Yeah.
You're
homeowner.
gonna pay
in the
for it every
butt.
year.
If
It's not like
this
there's gonna
is
be
a done deal
some
now, and then
things come up.
15 years later, who knows who many hands it goes through, and then
But
all of a
but
sudden, that's-
somebody's paying for it every
Over
year.
every year. It's a rental.
how are we gonna keep track of where it's at?
On the shoreline, it has the number visible from both sides right there. It says, this is my, if you can't see the dock.
There you go.
And we're still collecting.
It's a
that fee from
requirement
him.
then. I'm just saying,
Location for it.
that's due diligence that needs to be put into the stipulations of the approval, because I'm not so sure there aren't some out there. I have no clue where they're at, and I don't think they're in those property files that we started 5 years ago.
Exactly, and I don't think that should be the burden
Anything
of the
moving
city.
forward would be in those property files.
I don't think that should be the burden of the city,
Right.
city clerk. If that
Does he not
little sign
plan on
is sitting
doing it
right there
quickly?
and it gets knocked over by a mower and chewed up and thrown into the lake.
Is it a
I don't know.
one-time $75 fee?
No,
Stephanie?
No,
it's
it's
every
every
year.
year.
Every year.
Okay, so there's
It's an
nothing
annual.
said against that people could do that and say they're gonna build it and just never, ever do it to make sure that nobody ever.
Wouldn't that be a beautiful thing?
That would
We
be
need to have
part
it.
of, if you want to change
I mean,
that.
What
I
do they
mean,
pay? They
Wouldn't that be
pay
great?
$100 fee for that for a dock?
For a
No
regular.
docks and we make.
$25.
We're still getting a dock fee and there's no dock there blocking the shoreline. Gee, where's the problem?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's quite a scam.
They
You're
still
paying
have to
for it.
qualify though and have a habitable structure for
Exactly.
that
One
space.
dock per.
Yes.
Exactly.
He
So,
would really like the
yeah,
wording
that's
to be
clarify.
right. in
You
that.
can't just start reserving things saying you're gonna build another
Well,
structure.
Yeah, and I think that's.
If you have a habitable structure that does not have a dock, you can reserve a spot for a dock. So, yeah, for the record.
And isn't that the case in this?
That
Yes,
is-
yes, this would be the
that
case in
is.
this. He has already removed his dock structure. He has a habitable structure that doesn't currently have a dock structure
Well, I
on
think
the
it's
water.
close to an easement,
Yeah, and private property as well.
his own property.
His own property currently, yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so tell him to fill out
Oh my
an
gosh,
application
little angel.
and, or do I just go ahead and
I just call you Todd.
let him reserve it?
He's, if he
Yeah,
wants to reserve
that's
it, then
what
he can
There has to be
reserve it.
space there. I mean,
Yeah.
So we'll go out and check
I think it-
or.
And then make sure we have a sign so that we know that it's.
he's gotta do that.
Spots taken.
Yeah, he'd have to provide that, I would say, right?
Yeah.
And maintain it in
Yeah.
Right,
order
right.
to keep
And
that
maintain.
there.
Sign,
Well,
a sign.
and as pointed out by,
That still has to
somebody
be
that-
approved though.
the code section is 12-210. And that says basically you have to transfer, you have it as an individual, but as soon as you transfer it, you lose your place. So so basically
Yeah,
you couldn't like kind of reserve it, then let it, then suddenly it gets lost in the shuffle and suddenly somebody else shows up and said, I got this from 6 other, the chain of title goes back 6 people. And here's my reserve. It can't happen
Oh, okay.
because the person who reserves it, as soon as they leave,
Then it's not reserved.
It's not
it's not
reserved.
reserved. So the
so
new
there would have
person-
to be a structure there. If this is just a reserve spot and then the property changes hands, then it.
Yeah. And that may still not be something you guys want to do or not. I don't know because
It still has to come in front of the council as an application to reserve the spot, right?
well, it says permit.
It would have to
Okay.
be because you'd have to approve the spot
I
and
don't
make
know
sure
if
there's
that's
enough
implied
room
in the
for
fact that it says
whatever.
it's a
I mean,
permit.
Okay, so I'll have him fill out a
Yeah.
permit and say how many feet is gonna be from each dock on both sides and.
yeah, or we'll measure the spot that's available and let him know the maximum because there has to be at least 10 foot off of each dock. It
Okay,
has to maintain with the approximate length of the other docks in the area as far as how long the walkway and stuff is. You can't
He's
shoot your way.
He's
out the
aware
water.
of all these
Right.
stipulations and
okay.
But is that a
Tell him to
regular
fill out a
structure permit?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
because
Our
is
money
it-
for it.
Well, but that's,
Because
yeah.
he's doing just what this other guy was doing. He's moving the dock from A to B.
But on the
But
regular,
he's-
on the regular
yeah.
structure permits, you actually have a physical diagram of what you're putting up.
Yeah, that's kind of,
Necessarily
so-
Well, then
so
he'll
then-
have to apply that whenever he decides to build a
But-
dock.
it's not a structure.
But you've
That's the
already
point.
approved the structure permit.
Well, you
No,
would.
we're approving the reservation.
I think this is becoming harder than
Yeah.
it
Yeah,
needs to
it's
be.
really
Let's
not.
just,
I know,
this is,
let's take it down a notch.
Right.
It's not a structure permit. He just wants to move the dock from A to B, just like this other guy did.
Right.
He wants to move the dock from A to B. Now, when he, let's say, rebuilds his dock, which obviously there's no dock there yet, because he tore the bad one out, but when he rebuilds, then he gets a structure permit for that.
He just wants to make sure he gets the
In the
spot that he
meantime,
wants.
he's essentially moving the dock from A to B. That's all he's doing.
So you can't
But
use the
that-
structure permit.
What I'm
You have to do
saying,
something
does
else.
there not have to be an avenue on a piece of paper that he submits that to the governing body for approval?
yeah,
Do we
I
need to
just don't
make
think it
A
has to be.
request for dock reservation
No,
area?
yeah, you don't need you
So it
would need
doesn't
a
say
structure
structure
permit
permit.
because he's not building a structure yet.
So it can just be a request, like
Yeah,
a
it can be
transfer.
press. Yeah, and then you guys can, I think administratively, if you, as long as you have his address and where he wants it to be generally.
Okay.
Then you can lock that in and that's enough. And you don't need the drawing or anything like that.
Right, I was. Permit would require a drawing. I wasn't worried about the wording of it saying structure permit. I was just
Okay.
saying you could write that on there.
Yeah.
Yep, I'm with you.
So, are you gonna, is that email enough to, is it a request or do we? You can
I
find
think
it.
it's the spot need, I mean, we need to have a measurement of the spot. We need to have something.
Okay,
put in the
okay,
property
yeah,
file
yeah, all
that
right.
This due diligence was done. There's X amount between
Okay.
point A and point B,
Fair
and we
enough.
gotta start keeping better records in those
Yeah,
Yeah.
files.
I think, yeah, that's really.
So we're gonna have a better information before you can get a search permit. All right.
All right. Lake pasture.
Yes, I forgot this for about the last month and a half. Tim Weedow was interested in haying the pasture again. Didn't know what you guys' thoughts were on it.
Somebody asked me that I forgot to mention something at the last meeting prior to that was interested in the pasture as well.
Then we need bids.
So what
If
do we
two
have?
people want it,
Post it in the paper?
do we? Can't we just have Tim Weedo wants to do it and then he said he has somebody that wants to do it. Yeah, so now we gotta have bids.
What do you want to do? Do you want to ask him what?
I don't know. Greg Baronick just talked to me multiple times now, and he's been out to the pasture talking about the protein and the great quality of the thing, and he's really interested in it. And I told him that I would bring it up to you guys because he asked me about it. So
In the past, we've had written requests to do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Want to submit a sealed bid?
Yep.
You want to advertise it, or is our little show here enough that submit
When
a
is
sealed
it?
bid by the next meeting?
When is it too late to cut?
It's gonna be into July, middle of August.
We've had enough moisture that we won't.
So let's run a 2-week ad and we'll decide at the next meeting.
What's
And
the
then they can
two-week
get in
ad?
there.
Just the next meeting.
2-week ad.
see,
We just
we
had
let it go
one.
for $50 last year. So if we run a 2-week ad, we're making nothing because
Right.
that 2-week ad is more than the $50.
It doesn't have to
That's-
be.
There was no hay last year either.
It doesn't have to be advertised for that. It can be, you basically announce it here, put it on
Yeah, have them
Facebook
just submit it.
page, put it on, put a
That's
notice
fine.
on
And
the
I
ask
don't
door.
care.
and
I'm
ask
happy
we'll
with
turn
all
it
that.
at the next meeting.
If he hadn't spoken to me, I'd be happy with 10.
Yeah, I don't
Oh,
care
yeah.
either way. And
I
Tim
just
doesn't
told him
either.
that I
I
bring
just
it up.
happened to mention to him, I forget what deal it was. I
Okay.
saw him. I'm like, hey, are you interested? I'll bring it up. And I forgot to bring it up. So
I'm happy with
I don't
that.
have a dog in the fight. So it doesn't matter to me.
Thank you.
Well, it doesn't.
Anything
it's not
else?
Financially responsible to put an ad like you said, so.
Oh, yeah. No, if we don't have to do it and we can do it this way, I think it advertised pretty well. Especially it gives them 2 weeks and they did. So, that's good.
But apparently he says that it's like full of a bunch of different stuff that's like awesome,
We've had a good season for it.
which I think is
Burning it those several years too. I mean, it really, there are a lot of wildflowers coming back in it. It was, I mean, it's native, but I
I
mean, I
mean,
don't
he
think it
thinks
was
like
ever
a bouquet
reseeded.
of like 20 different things and was rattling off how great and wonderful every one of them was. And I was like, yeah, educate me, please.
Okay.
Well, actually,
Buffalo would love it, wouldn't it?
Probably would.
no no buffalo.
Hey.
No buffalo. All right.
We're
So
done.
they're
Okay,
gonna
do we have any
Tie
other
them up on a
business?
leash and put them up.
Are they gonna put in bids for, then, is that what they're doing?
That's what they're doing. They'll have them for the next.
Yeah, I think anybody else that is listening to this will contact us and Brett and I will let them know that they need to submit a sealed bid to Stephanie.
There you go.
Before I get back with JD on the one shelter that he built, I wanted to hear what everybody here thought of it, if anybody else has looked at it.
I stopped by and looked at it, and that is a beautiful job,
I do agree.
beautiful job.
I can.
But it did bring up one other concern. The picnic table sitting in it looked like trash. Now,
You know, you got the skill.
the barbecue grill that sits out there, so it's bent, now it looks like trash. Now, I mean, what he's done is he's taken this beautiful structure and made everything around it look bad.
It's like getting a new muffler, makes everything else in the car
Oh,
bad.
exactly. Now you gotta get a new car.
Moving forward, obviously, there's no complaints about it.
Are,
so-
are they already in concrete slabs?
The slab was already there, he didn't.
Yeah.
Okay, because that's why I asked you, because that was on a concrete slab and the others are just on gravel. Would it
One
not-
more will have concrete.
Would it
The
not
other-
benefit to put concrete slabs on all of them?
Do on slabs or just gravel? Or,
That
Or
could be
not.
done later too. I mean, at
Yeah,
this
it
point.
can be done later, I
financially,
mean,
see
yeah,
where we end
but
up.
that's not in the bid, so.
right, and he wouldn't do it anyway, he just farmed it out.
We can see how.
The one thing I'm wondering, Mike, you probably know more about this, how hard is it gonna be to wire it up?
Not too bad. It'll have to be in conduit where it's primarily metal on everything. I mean, anything wood, conduit or MC cable anyway to be legit. But we get some juice over there from our main box, which I think that was the plan, wasn't it? To leave a little spot that we could put one more disconnect on there or something. Or just a little box. It doesn't have to be 50 amp coming off of there, but then run at least to those two off of our new RV stuff, which put some lights and a few plugs around it or something like that.
Well, you know, if you put outlets around it, you're gonna gather teenagers with phones.
That's the future.
No, is that good or bad? I'll do whatever you want. I don't
I'm
care.
just saying-
No, that's.
I'm just saying, there, I can see people, putting an adapter, turn this one outlet into 3 and then plug another one in. Another one in.
Charging phones?
Phone charging station. Coin op electricity.
Maybe we could actually go with it and put in
Yes.
one of them 4-plex outlets as
Yeah.
2 outlets and
Do you have an idea,
6
Cindy?
USB.
Sorry.
Oh, okay.
So we are all happy with that. I can give you a
Yeah.
thumbs up to go ahead with the rest. Good.
I like it.
I wanted to hear what y'all thought before I got back with it.
All right, do we have any further
I moved that we
business?
listen to Cindy and see what she has to
Yeah,
say.
she was waving her
I
hand.
had one other
I'm
thing
sorry.
with the continuing business, which is where we're setting with the signs for the public access to let people know where that is around the lake so that they can.
Tim and I still haven't got out there. Was that the last meeting or the meeting before? We
Last
definitely need to
meeting.
revisit that.
Yeah, I would like to see them go up before the next holiday.
This year,
Yes.
July.
It'll be September, Labor Day.
So 2 months away.
Why don't we just
Or
ask
7
them to
weeks.
do it and we'll hope it can get done.
Wonder if we could get a map similar to this where we could highlight, draw where the paths are.
Make a sign of it, you mean? or something?
Also,
Yeah.
if our interested people in the public officer at the lake get hired at the next meeting or whatever, they would also be, we could direct them to do that as well, correct?
Sure. We would just have to order the
So I guess you guys, what the signs are gonna say.
public access.
fire.
Fire
Public
lane, fire lane.
access,
You
public
want fire
fishing,
lane or public
blah,
access?
blah, blah.
All right, public access fire lane.
Also, I got, who takes care of and does the pool? I talked to you about this.
Yeah,
What is the deal in that kiddie pool? It is locked up and it's all green algae and looks like
Is it-
crap. They're not using it.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's got a leak. It's bad. It's done to you. They want to put a splash pad in there. They just don't know how to do it.
That's my question. I mean, is that something we can help out with or is that what would that entail?
I don't know. I honestly have no idea, because if that's recirculating retreated water, if that's like fresh water all the time, I have no
So
idea.
the whole
how
thing
it's
is,
working.
it's leaking?
That, yeah,
And they might generate the money from the wiffle ball tournament.
The tile was falling off, and they had some really sharp ceramic.
It looks really bad. Just was wondering if there's something you could do about it. Or help with.
Stuff like that. Otherwise,
Maybe Russell Torrey would be a good person to talk to, since he's the one that did all the work in the pool this year for them.
Yeah, they talked to him about it. I don't know if they talked about him.
in the past, people on the council have resisted doing too much for the pool. And when the pool is down on its own,
I don't think it was resistance of doing not something from the pool. They wanted to focus the efforts with the money on things that the city owned and was not maintaining versus something they did not. I think
yeah,
that
actually,
was more
there was a little bit of both. But anyway, I'll look into it to see what it's gonna cost and maybe we can get a benefactor to take care of it. Anything else? Cindy,
Thank you. I apologize for being late.
that's all right.
I wanted to double check 193 Cedar Circle. I believe the transfer was approved to the new buyers, Stephanie.
Yes.
And then on 100 Prairie View and 98 Lakeview, Randy Mitchell was swapping the numbers on those stocks, but 100 was also being sold. Was that transferred to the new owners on that case as well?
They didn't ask us to transfer it to a new owners because there's no new owners yet, is there?
Yeah, it's on that letter.
Is it?
The Jim, yeah,
Jim
Jim
Kathy
Kathy.
Hahn.
I don't know.
Yes, transferred to
And-
Mons.
That was,
Did we transfer it?
The motion was made for this
For all
after
of
I
that?
explained it. Yeah, I mean, after I
Yeah.
explained the swap and where the houses were, yes. So I think technically, unless you want to.
I just wanted to make sure that the transfer was approved as well.
yes.
Yes.
Good. Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Mhm.
Well, if there's no further business, need a motion.
There is no further business, but there's one quick thing, which was that list of grants that we had that we are available. My question to everybody is, are we going to just flip that over and act like we didn't see it, or are we gonna talk about it? And I guess I can let everybody ponder it, so I'll move to adjourn.
Grant money is always a good thing.
All right. Did you make a motion
You did.
in a second?
Most of it.
All in favor to adjourn? Thank you, gentlemen. Oh, here. I just wondered about this. I need to look at that.
Pretty helpful that it's so clear.
Oh, I got one on my sleeve too.
Has anybody gotten a hold of you about the IJ building?
Get her